the effect in the lives that he's had for everybody. It's just been amazing. We've had Belmont wrestlers that have done lots of different things, and they're in a lot of different places, and each of one of those carry John with them. And whatever they're doing in their lives is mainly because of the things that John's done for them.
A community is mourning the loss of a beloved coach and family man today. Belmont High School's assistant wrestling coach John Friedt passed away this morning after suffering a stroke earlier this week. Friedt left a lasting legacy after more than 35 years of coaching and mentoring middle and high school wrestlers.
He didn't wrestle until he was in high school. He was the first one of the Friedt boys to do that, and that kind of led everyone else in the family, I believe, to do that. Wrestling is something we've always shared. When he first started going to tournaments, when he got out of high school, I would go along, and I was like bored sitting there waiting for hours in between rounds, so I kind of said, what can I do to help? And that's how I became so involved with the ISWA, the statewide tournaments, and I've been on the board, I've been an officer, I do all the state tournaments 4 or 5 a year for the last 20-some years.
I know how to coach the kids, I know how to deal with kids fairly well. I know the sport of wrestling fairly well, but to be able to connect with the kids like he did, I just don't have what he had. He was one of a kind.
I played a lot of sports, and he was always there. He coached me like he did when he helped other people in wrestling. So I guess in that aspect, I don't feel like I really missed out. I feel like I had to share him a lot, because with everything he did, but that was fine because other people needed him.
Belmont wrestling, it's a huge thing in Decatur, Indiana. Always been very important to this community, and fortunately we've had a lot of success over the years, and it's caught on, and it's become a staple to Belmont High School. This program has meant so much to me, and that I want to be a part of it, and I always want to be a part of it.
What Belmont wrestling means, I think for me it meant just trying to be the best in every single aspect of life. That's what the coaches here expect of you, and help get you there.
I didn't really be anywhere else. I always wanted to coach here and be here in Decatur and coach at Belmont High School.
I like the small town. I always wanted to come back and be a teacher at North Adams and one day be the Belmont wrestling coach. I had only 1 year teaching, 1 year of coaching here, and Denny Hayes retired after back-to-back state titles, and there was no way I was ready to take over the program. John encouraged me to take it over, and he said he'd be there as an assistant and did not mind being an assistant for me. So it was encouragement by John Friedt that made me decide to go for it. And John was a big part of my family. I mean, as far as, next to my parents, he was the most influential person in my life.
John, his mission was to serve others.
He'll be the person in the background who will be the hands-on guy who will do all the work that you need done to get the things done. And he will do everything necessary to help you become a successful person, a successful program, but he will not want to take any of the credit for it. And that's what John is he's that person that will help push you to that next level, but he'll say that you're the one that did all the work, and he will not want to be able to take any of the credit for the things that he's done.
He was a very good listener. He didn't want any credit. He didn't want to talk over anybody. He listened to what they had to say, and then gave them their opinion.
He was always there. He knew. He knew when I was down, and he knew even I'd turn around and he'd be there.
If you had to say if John was more of a friend, a mentor, a parent, or like a brother, like you just said, what would you say he was?
He was all those.
And he just had a way of getting in people's heads. He knew what it took. He seemed to know if a kid needed to get yelled at to get motivated, if he needed the pat on the back, if he needed the goofy joke or the stupid move.
Think about his approach to things, and teaching. You know, he wasn't a teacher in the sense that he worked in one of the schools, but just the way he worked with people, he was a teacher. He was a great teacher. He helped start the wrestling club. He, like I said, coached the wrestling club since I can remember. I mean, he's the face that I remember when I go back and watch videos of me 6 years old. He's the referee that was there, and that's just, to him, that was where he was supposed to be. He never made you feel like you were wasting his time or that he needed to be somewhere else.
You know, my staff, currently right now, Tim Myers is assistant principal at the middle school and a volunteer coach currently for me. Paul Gunstead, an elementary teacher. Sean Friedt is a guidance counselor here. So we're all teachers, and it's kind of ironic that John might have been the best teacher. You know, we went into teaching and coaching because of a guy like John Friedt, because of the influence he had on us. So, you know, we ended up all being teachers and coaches, but it was kind of ironic. I always said that, you know, John might have been the best teacher of us all, and he was the lay coach.
What does the Belmont wrestling community mean to you?
It's family. Belmont Wrestling has always been about family. He had a stroke in the middle of the night. He had a really bad cold, so he's sitting sleeping in the lazy boy. And so I came downstairs, and then I went back upstairs, and all of a sudden I heard some noises down here, and I came down, and he was on the floor.
And I knew Dad had a really bad cold. He had been real coughing, Mom said, real bad congestion. So about 2:30 in the morning, we got a phone call from the hospital.
I really thought that, well, he was sick and he let something go a little too long, and he's just, Mom was more worried about it and asked me, I probably had to go for that. I really didn't think there'd ever be anything wrong with him.
I received a call from his daughter, Jenny, right before the start of school, and she told me that John had a stroke and he was in the hospital, and it didn't look good at the time.
I had just got to school, or just got to work, and his brother Mickey was dropping off Caden, his youngest son, and he pulled up in his truck and he said, excuse me, he said that it's okay. He said that John had a stroke today.
Kind of, I think I tried to not let a whole lot go through my head. It didn't sound real.
It's not real. It's not real. John's always there. John's always there, through thick and thin. And he'll be fine. He'll be, you know, he's a tough man.
He was so strong to me for so many years, and it's like he's always fought for everything that he believed in, and he's fought for everything everybody else has wanted to believe in. You know, he's taught so many people in their lives to fight for what they believe in.
It was rough. I'm glad we had the support of each other, Jenny and I, but it was still rough. And really, I don't feel so bad for me. I had 35 years with him. I feel worse for my kids. My oldest is 14, and then the next one's 11, and an 8-year-old. But my kids and Jenny's kids are never gonna know what a great person he was, and not just in the wrestling, in all around.
And look, even now, there's sometimes like you're going along pretty good, and then you hit a big bump. You know, it's just sometimes you don't even. During the day when you're busy, it's, you know, you're not thinking about it quite as much. But then somebody will say something, or I'll think of something, or even now I'll think, oh gee, I gotta go home and tell John.
Death of someone close to you, I mean, it's a hole in your heart. I mean, it's tough. I mean, knowing that he was such a big part of my life. And like I said, it was equivalent to losing a parent or grandparent. I mean, just or a brother. I mean, just because we were close, and he meant an awful lot to me.
It was me and John, and we were running a practice. Actually, John was doing it with most of the middle school kids. My son and his nephew, Carter, and a few other kids that were in here. And we got a few techniques done, and then at the end of the practice, he was just rolling around with the kids like he always does, and I just got done with our high school practice, so I was sitting on along the wall just kind of resting and watching him go at it, and it was kind of neat watching him in that moment with all those kids. And that's probably how I'm going to remember him the most, is because he was with my son and his nephew. He was with my son and his nephew, doing what he loved, getting them rolling around with him, teaching them technique, and getting them better, getting them to believe in themselves. He just loved being a coach, and he loved taking kids and getting the very best out of them, and he did that. And he would get into kids' heads and then get them to believe in themselves. And how he got people to believe in themselves was just incredible. And he would just do that to people. He would take you to a place where you didn't think you could go, and that's because he was able to get in your head. He got in your head, talking to you, and just making you have a belief that, you know what, I can do that. He just found a way to give you all the confidence in the world.
I don't know what this program would be like if John had never coached. I don't know. I mean, I think I could say I don't know if I would be coaching. I think his impact on all of us was so big.
I hope that what he has tried to instill and pass on to everyone in some form or another will be passed on to generation to generation. Your kids won't know him, but what you teach your kids might be something you've learned from him. So in a way, a little piece of him is moving forward.
All of us that were coached and dealt with John, and I think you're going to take stuff away, and sometimes it's directly related to something that John has either told you or you see John do with somebody. So he touched a lot of lives.
Did you think he was going to lose that fight after he had that stroke?
I don't think he lost. We don't have him here, but he's still making an impact. So again, I don't like to think that he lost a fight. I don't think John ever lost a fight. He was too sly. This is a setback for us as human beings, but again, he's still making an impact. And my 8-year-old son still talks about him. So he didn't lose. John wasn't a loser in any way.